Off the coast of Belgium, a German World War I U-boat was discovered with the eerie bodies of 23 crewmen still within. Welcome to USA Stories channel. Do not forget to subscribe and activate the bell button to receive all new updates. Now let's go to the story. German submarines, often known as U-boats, engaged in a severely damaging campaign against British commerce during World War I. Preventing food supplies and raw resources from reaching Britain for the war effort was one of the Germans' objectives. U-boats sunk around 5,000 British ships throughout the war, but they also lost 178 boats and almost 5,000 submariners in the process. One of those U-boats has now been discovered off the coast of Belgium, 100 years after it sank. The Lusitania's sinking off the coast of Ireland in 1915 highlighted the submarine's horrifying potential as a weapon of war. The ship carried 1,962 passengers and crew members as it departed New York for Liverpool, England. With just one torpedo, the German submarine U-20 destroyed the ship, killing 1,198 people, mostly from drowning or hypothermia, when it became clear that the First World War would be a protracted and attritional conflict. Sentiments hardened on both sides, British and German. By strengthening their blockade of German ports, the British tightened their grip on German maritime trade. The Royal Navy declared in November 1914 that all vessels in the North Sea was open for business. The British also said that they would consider as a lawful attack any ship bringing supplies to Germany. The British were perceived by the Germans as attempting to starve Germany's civilian population, which incensed them. The Germans believed that the U-boat was their best option since the British Navy was stronger than theirs. In February 1915, the Germans issued a proclamation of their own, threatening to destroy any ships in the waters surrounding Britain. The Royal Navy responded by formulating strategies meant to minimize the harm that U-boat assaults may do. Ships were instructed to attempt to ram submarines or to escape from them. The wrath of the Americans, who had lost 128 of their compatriots in the sinking of the Lusitania, had been causing the Germans considerable concern. The submarine war was mainly abandoned in the North Sea and the Atlantic because they were afraid of inciting the neutral United States to join the British side in the conflict. Still, activities went on in the Mediterranean and other oceans. However, the Germans once more resorted to the notion of an all-out submarine war as World War I dragged on. Since they only sunk a small portion of the merchant fleet, their actions early in the war had really had little effect on British trade. However, a German admiral now believed he had a workable strategy. Admiral Henning von Holtzendorf thought that if the U-boats could sink 600,000 tons of commerce ships each month, that would be a decisive blow to the British. Dr. Richard Fuss, who had asserted that destroying shipping in such large quantities would bring the British to their knees in 6 months, served as the inspiration for this idea. The German Kaiser was informed by military leader Paul von Hindenburg that the war needed to finish quickly and in whatever way possible. As a result, on February 1, 1917, the Kaiser gave the go-ahead for the unrestricted U-boat raids to resume. This increasing hostility on the high seas was initially seen as a German victory. The campaign's initial months saw the 600,000-ton objective either nearly met or surpassed. To try and stop the attacks, the British instituted a convoy system in May 1917. Losses were quickly decreased by these convoys, which comprised groups of merchantmen protected by Royal Navy ships. The U-boats suffered greater losses as a result of the system, as they were more likely to encounter heavily equipped Royal Navy ships, though still very serious. The U-boat menace had been minimized by 1918, the last year of World War I. The German danger was being diminished in part because many more U-boats were being sunk and because mines were being laid effectively. When the war ended in November 1918, the Allies seized and destroyed every U-boat that remained. In 1916, one specific U-boat, a UB-2 class submarine with the designation UB-29, was lost in seas around Belgium. The Belgian marine archaeologist Thomas Termote has spent years searching seabeds for wrecks related to the whereabouts of the wreck of this U-boat and the fate of its crew for over a century. The ship was attacked in December by the Royal Navy cruiser HMS Landrail. Termote has actually completed almost 5,000 dives in the North Sea alone. He underwent scuba diving in the summer of 2017 at an area close to Ostend, Belgium, off the coast of Belgium. The exact location is being kept under wraps. That secrecy stemmed from the fact that Termote had discovered the wreckage of UB-29, albeit additional dives were required to determine its exact identify. "I recognized this was a German U-boat right away," Termote stated to the New York Times. Covered with orange, red, and yellow flowers, seaweed, and marine vegetation, the submarine appeared astonishingly undamaged. The site of the wreck was kept a secret by Termote and the Belgian authorities to prevent thieves from taking advantage of it. There was also another reason. The marine archaeologist thought this U-boat may actually be a war cemetery. "We're certain that the crew is dead and still inside, probably buried in the sand, though it's possible that some escaped," Termote stated to the New York Times according to archival archives. UB-29 embarked on its final journey on November 27, 1916, carrying a crew of 22 people. Although Termote has confirmed that the boat is physically intact, there is evident damage to the bow. This implies that it could have struck a mine. He speculates that the ship could have struck the mine when returning to port after being damaged in an attempt, most likely by HMS Landrail. During the First World War, 93 German U-boats were stationed in Belgian ports, and between them, they sunk about 2,550 ships. This was a very terrifying but extremely strong strike rate. Roughly 70 of the 93 U-boats that were launched from Belgian ports were annihilated. German sailors also suffered a heavy loss. Over 1,200 of them died. The UB-2 class submarines could dive to a depth of around 160 feet. They were 82 feet long and at their widest point, about 20 feet broad. The submarines were outfitted with an on-deck armament for surface attacks and surfaced events, as well as 2 torpedo tubes on their bows. The UB-29 wreck has recently been requested by the German government to be designated as a war cemetery by the Belgian authorities. The German ambassador to Belgium stated in an interview with the Associated Press, "Graves should be graves. That is to say, they should be protected and will rest in peace." Please remember to subscribe to our channel, give us a thumbs up, and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss any of our videos. If you enjoyed the tale, the next video that plays on your screen will probably move you too.